Hi, good afternoon. My name is Minnie Cortez, and the article that I chose to talk about today is titled Cleveland Police Stop and Search Black Drivers at Higher Rates Despite DOJ Oversight. This article was released on October 1st, 2024 by the Marshall Project in Cleveland, Ohio. The article is pretty long, so I'm just going to give you a brief overview of it. So basically, this article is just discussing issues between the Black community of Cleveland with the Cleveland Police Department. And the main issue here is that the Black community believes that they are being targeted while driving. And in a recent study, we learned that the Cleveland police searched Black people more often than they did white people, despite finding contraband at similar rates. And as we continue to read about this study, we learned that 17,000 police encounters show that officers often use low level offenses like broken taillights or tinted windows to search Black people. And in those 17,000 police stops, we are given statistics on the reasoning behind those stops. And in those statistics, it said that 39% of those stops were for speeding, 37% were for other moving violations, such as running a red light, 15% were for registration and license issues, 12% were for equipment violations, such as a broken tail light, 6% were for suspected criminal activity, and 3% were for other miscellaneous reasons. And as we see here, we notice that these offenses have the officers have valid reasons to pull these people over. Whether their violation is petty or not, it's still a violation. And another statistical graph showed that police searched Black people 64% more often than white people, but found contraband only about 14% more often. So I believe the main question that we need to be asking ourselves here is if these stops are being done constitutionally. And what that means is that the officer's job is to basically spot violations, whether that violation is petty or not. That's what the officers do. And so the officer's job is to spot a violation, conduct a vehicle stop, and once they conduct a vehicle stop, they approach the driver, they speak to the driver, and in that conversation or that interaction with their driver, if they find probable cause to believe that there might be some illegal contraband or some criminal activity occurring within that driver and in that vehicle, they have every right to go into that vehicle and search that vehicle. Whether that person's black, white, red, white, or blue, it does not matter. So in this case, my question is, if these searches are being done constitutionally, then there is no issue here. Whether they're being targeted, if only Black people are being targeted, then that's another course of debate. So another question I believe that we need to be asking is, what does the racial population look like in Cleveland? Are there more Blacks than whites in Cleveland? And if the answer is yes, then it is obvious that the majority of people getting pulled over are going to be Black people. And so the article continues, and it ends with interviewing three Black people, and then they're discussing their concerns about being inconvenienced as they get pulled over. And getting pulled over is, of course, a major inconvenience. One driver mentioned about getting pulled over multiple times for having tinted windows, but was only cited once. So she was shown discretion here. And my main thing here is that if you don't want to get pulled over, maybe remove your tint. How would the officer have known if she was Black if she had tinted windows? That's just a thought of mine. So as I conclude the summary of the article, it is clear that there is a rise of concern of racial discrimination occurring from the Cleveland police. Whether or not this is true is the big controversy today. And as I connect this article with the textbook, we can see it clearly relates to chapter 6, which focuses on police discretion and dilemmas. And in the section titled Discretion and Discrimination, it states the following, and I will quote: when individuals have discretion, individual prejudice, and perceptions of groups such as women, minorities, and homosexuals, it can influence their decision making. So this quote basically tells us that a person's beliefs about certain people will affect how they make decisions. So unfortunately, with law enforcement, if you have specific beliefs about a certain group of people, you might be susceptible of treating that group differently than you would others. And that's where we run into a problem. So I know that there are bad cops out there that bring a bad name to the good ones. However, the community should not be blaming the entire police department as a whole for the mistakes of only a handful of officers. So that basically concludes my video regarding the article, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you.